Millionaire cries after meeting black twin beggars alone in the park with a secret. Ethan Sterling, Chicago's golden boy, the self-made millionaire, knelt in Lincoln Park, his $1,000 suit gathering fallen leaves. A board meeting from hell, another soulless victory, and then them. Two little girls, maybe 5, black as night, and huddled together like they were freezing, even though it was only a crisp autumn day. Lily and Grace, that's what they whispered, their voices tiny and trembling. Raggedy clothes, faces smudged with tears, clutching a beat-up teddy bear. Broke something inside him. "Mommy just popped to the store," one mumbled, her eyes wide and scared. But Ethan knew, deep down, something was way off. He offered them the pastries he'd grabbed, pain au chocolat, from some fancy French place he couldn't even pronounce. They devoured them, crumbs sticking to their cheeks. Watching them eat, a memory flashed of his own mom working double shifts, of going to bed hungry. He'd clawed his way out of that, built an empire, and here he was, staring into the eyes of the past. The cops came. Protocol. Shelter. Ethan felt a gut punch. He couldn't leave them. "I'll take responsibility," he blurted out, surprising even himself. The cops exchanged glances. A millionaire? These kids? But his eyes, they saw something. He signed the forms. The girls held on to his hands, their trust, fragile but real. As he drove them back to his penthouse, the city lights blurring around them, Lily whispered, "Will Mama be mad we ate her pastries?" His heart twisted. He glanced at the cracked phone Lily had clutched, and then a text message popped up on the screen. "They know. Don't trust anyone." Who was they? And what did Isabella know?
Antes de continuarmos con esa historia incrível, preciso te fazer alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o
YouTube remove suas inscrições sem aviso.
Dá uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você está aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. Ah, e me conta nos comentários, de qual cidade você está assistindo? Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. His heart twisted. He glanced at the cracked phone Lily had clutched, and then a text message popped up on the screen. They know. Don't trust anyone. Who was they? And what did Isabella know? The penthouse felt wrong. Too big, too empty. Lily and Grace were glued to his side, wide-eyed at the view from the 50th floor. He ordered pizza, plain cheese, because who knew what fancy toppings these kids were used to, or not used to. They ate silently, their small hands trembling slightly. He tried small talk, school, cartoons, nothing. He was putting them to bed in the guest room, plush, ridiculous. The sheets probably cost more than their old clothes. When it happened, a knock, hard, insistent. He peeked through the peephole. 2 guys in suits, big guys. One had a visible gun. "Who is it, Mr. Sterling?" Grace whispered, her voice barely audible. He plastered on a smile, trying to look like he wasn't about to have a heart attack. "Just, some colleagues. I'll be right back." He opened the door a crack. "What do you want?"
We need the girls, Mr. Sterling. Isabella sends her regards. The guy with the gun didn't smile. Who's Isabella? Ethan asked, stalling. The guy just smirked. You'll find out soon enough. Now, hand them over. This doesn't have to get messy. Ethan slammed the door. Messy? Messy was an understatement. He locked the deadbolt, shoved the flimsy security chain across. These guys weren't messing around. He turned to the girls. Their eyes were huge. They'd heard everything. Get in the closet, he hissed. Hide. Don't make a sound. I'll handle this. He grabbed the heavy glass bottle of expensive scotch from the bar, a gift he'd never opened. His hands were shaking. He had no idea what he was doing. He wasn't a hero. He was a freaking accountant who'd gotten lucky. The door splintered. The chain snapped. They were in. Ethan swung the bottle. It connected with a sickening thud. The guy went down. The other one raised his gun. And then everything went black. He woke up on the floor, head throbbing. The apartment was trashed. The girls, gone. A note lay on the coffee table, held down by a bullet casing. Isabella thanks you for the entertainment. Come to the address below, alone. If you want to see them again. He scrambled to his feet, adrenaline pumping. He had to find them. But then he saw it, lying on the floor, half hidden under a ripped cushion. A photograph. Lily and Grace, smiling. But not just Lily and Grace. Standing between them, holding their hands. His mother. But that wasn't possible. His mother was dead. Died 20 years ago. Heart attack. He'd seen the body. He picked up the photo, his hands trembling so hard he could barely hold it. On the back, a single word was scrawled in what looked like his mother's handwriting. Sorry. What the hell? Sorry! What the hell? He stared at the picture. His mom? Alive? It couldn't be. This had to be some sick joke. But the handwriting, he knew it. Knew it like he knew his own name. The address on the note was some warehouse district downtown. The kind of place you didn't want to be after dark. He grabbed his keys, his phone, and a baseball bat he kept by the door. Never thought he'd actually use it. The drive was a blur. All he could see was that picture. His mom's smiling face. Those little girls. And that word, sorry. The warehouse was a dump. Graffiti everywhere. Broken windows, the smell of stale beer and desperation hanging in the air. He parked across the street, killed the lights. He felt like he was walking into a trap. He was. He kicked in the door. The place was empty, except for a single spotlight shining on a chair, and in the chair, Isabella. She was older than he expected, maybe late 40s. Beautiful in a hard kind of way. Her eyes were cold. Ethan Sterling, she said, her voice smooth as silk. So glad you could make it. Where are the girls? He demanded, gripping the bat tighter. Isabella chuckled. Patience, Ethan. All in good time. She snapped her fingers. A door opened and two goons dragged someone in. Someone kicking and screaming. His blood ran cold. It was his business partner, Mark. Mark, what's going on? Ethan asked, confused. Isabella smiled. Oh, Mark and I go way back, don't we, darling? Mark just glared at Ethan, his face bruised and bloody. I still don't understand what's going on. What do you want? Ethan yelled.
Isabella laughed. You really don't see it, do you, Ethan? It's so simple. I want what's rightfully mine. She stood up and walked towards him slowly. You see, your mother worked for me a long, long time ago. She stole something from me. Something very valuable. Something those girls inherited. My mother died, Ethan said, his voice shaking. Isabella stopped right in front of him, her eyes blazing. Oh, darling, did she? I'm sorry to inform you. Your sweet mommy faked her death so she could protect you. And the twins. Ethan just stared at her, his mind racing. His mother? Alive? A thief? And Lily and Grace? And as for those little sweeties, the twins, well, I had to find a way to get to the rightful heir, which is you, dear Ethan. And just at that moment, Ethan realized she wasn't Isabella. He saw the way she looked at him. She was... Mom? Is that you? Ethan said, his mouth agape. His mother looked back at him and smiled. Yes, darling, it's me. Mom, is that you? Ethan said, his mouth agape. His mother looked back at him and smiled. Yes, darling, it's me. He couldn't breathe. Mom? Alive? After all this time? It didn't make any sense. He'd seen the coffin. He'd watched them lower it into the ground. The pain, the grief, it all came flooding back, a tidal wave threatening to drown him. But you're dead, he stammered, the baseball bat slipping in his sweaty grip. A necessary fiction, Ethan. For your own good, she said, her voice laced with a chilling calmness. She nodded towards Mark, who was whimpering. Mark helped me with the arrangements. Mark? His loyal, trustworthy partner. Part of this nightmare? What the hell is going on? Ethan roared, his voice echoing in the cavernous warehouse. It's simple, really, his mother Isabella said. Your father, he wasn't who you thought he was. He was a thief, a con man. He stole something from me, something irreplaceable. And when he died, I thought it was gone forever. She paused, her eyes hardening. Then I found out about you, about the insurance policy he'd taken out. A family, hidden away. The twins, his mother. Everything was a lie. You faked your death to protect me? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. She laughed, a cold, brittle sound. Protect you? No, darling. I faked my death to find you, to get what was rightfully mine. And those little brats, she spat, gesturing towards an unseen room. They're just leverage. Leverage? His nieces? The little girls he'd promised to protect? He raised the baseball bat, his knuckles white. Where are they? But then, the warehouse door crashed open. Another figure stood silhouetted in the doorway, a figure Ethan knew all too well. Sarah, his fiancée. But it wasn't just Sarah. She was holding a gun, pointed right at him. Sorry, Ethan, she said, her voice flat, emotionless. Isabella pays better. He just stared at her. Sarah? The woman he loved? The woman he was going to marry? Betraying him? For his mother? You knew? He managed to choke out, his heart shattering into a million pieces. She nodded, her gaze unwavering. Since the beginning, it was all arranged. Arranged? Their entire relationship? The laughter, the love, the future they'd planned? All a lie? He felt a searing pain in his chest, worse than any physical blow. Betrayal. It tasted like poison in his mouth. His mother smiled, a triumphant, evil smile. Family, Ethan. Isn't it wonderful? And then, Sarah.
pulled the trigger. But the bullet didn't hit Ethan. It hit his mother. Isabella staggered back, clutching her chest, her eyes wide with shock. "Sarah? Why?" she gasped. Sarah just stared at her, her face a mask of cold fury. "Because I'm her daughter, and you stole her from me." Ethan's head was spinning. What the hell was happening? Sarah? His sister? And Isabella, not his mother, but someone else entirely? Before anyone could react, Sarah turned the gun on Mark. Another shot. He slumped to the floor, dead. Then she tossed the gun at Ethan's feet. "Take it," she said, her voice trembling. "Finish it. She deserves it." Ethan picked up the gun, his hand shaking. He looked at Isabella, lying on the floor, bleeding. He looked at Sarah, his sister, her eyes filled with a lifetime of pain and rage. He looked down at the gun in his hand. He had no idea what to do, who to believe, who to trust. And then he heard it. A faint sound coming from the shadows. A child's whimper. Lily or Grace. He had to protect them. But from whom? From his mother? From his sister? From everyone? He squeezed his eyes shut, his head pounding. He couldn't do this. He was just an accountant. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't anything. But he had to be. For the girls, for himself. He opened his eyes, his gaze hardening. He knew what he had to do. He pointed the gun, not at Isabella, not at Sarah. He pointed it at the ceiling, and he fired. He pointed it at the ceiling, and he fired. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Isabella screamed, clutching her ears. Sarah flinched, but didn't move. "Everybody just freeze!" Ethan yelled, his voice cracking. He felt like an idiot, waving a gun around, but it was the only thing keeping them from each other's throats. "Okay, Mom, Isabella, whatever your name is, tell me what's going on. Now. And Sarah, you too. No more lies." Isabella, still on the floor, bleeding, managed a weak cough. "It's all about the diamond," she croaked. "The Serafina diamond. Your father stole it from me years ago. It was rightfully mine, passed down through my family for generations." Diamond? What diamond? This was getting crazier by the second. Sarah nodded, her face still blank. "It's true. Isabella, she's not our mother. She's our grandmother. Our real mother? She disappeared years ago. Isabella always told me she was dead, but I never believed her." Grandmother? Sister? Diamond? His head was swimming. This was some messed up family reunion from hell. "And the twins?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling. "Lily and Grace, what do they have to do with this?" Isabella smiled, a ghastly, blood-tinged smile. "They're the key, Ethan. The diamond? It's not just a diamond. It's a security device. It unlocks something valuable. And those girls, they're the only ones who can activate it." Suddenly, a voice, a small, frightened voice, cut through the tension. "He's lying!" Ethan whirled around. Lily and Grace were standing in the doorway to the warehouse, their eyes wide with terror. But it wasn't Lily who had spoken. It was Grace. And she was holding a gun. A much bigger gun than Ethan's. An Uzi. Ethan stared, his jaw dropping. Grace, the quiet twin, the one who always clung to Lily, was standing there, holding an automatic weapon like she knew how to use it. He's not lying about the diamond, Grace continued, her voice surprisingly steady. But he's lying about everything else. Isabella is not our grandmother. And Sarah, she's not our sister. She took a step forward, her gaze fixed on Isabella. Isabella is our target. And Sarah, she's our handler. Handler? Target? What in the name of all that was holy was going on? Then Grace said the words that shattered everything. The words that made Ethan's blood run cold. The words that turned his world upside down. "My name isn't Grace," she said, her voice clear and strong. "It's Anya, and I'm a sleeper agent. And Lily, she's my trigger." Lily started to cry. Lily comenzó a llorar. Anya, oh Grace, whatever her real name was, tightened her grip on the Uzi. Her eyes were like ice. "Lily, it's okay. It's almost over." Lily sobbed, shaking her head. "No, Anya, please. Not him." "Him? Me? What the heck was going on? This little girl, this trained killer, she was protecting me?" Isabella started to laugh, a crazy high-pitched sound. "You think you can stop me, Anya? You're just a child, a weapon, and Lily, she's nothing but a liability." Suddenly, Lily screamed. A piercing, blood-curdling scream that made the warehouse shake. And as she screamed, Anya, she changed. Her eyes went blank, her body tensed. The Uzi, it started to shake in her hands. "Trigger activated," she said, her voice robotic, emotionless. "Executing primary objective." Her primary objective? What was that? To kill Isabella? To protect Lily? She pointed the Uzi, not at Isabella, not at Sarah. She pointed it at Lily. "No!" I yelled, diving forward. But I was too late. A burst of gunfire ripped through the warehouse. Lily screamed again, a shorter, weaker scream this time. And then, silence. I scrambled to my feet, my ears ringing. I looked around, my heart pounding. What had just happened? Isabella was on the floor, bleeding, gasping for air. Sarah was standing frozen, her face a mask of horror. And Anya, she was staring at Lily, her eyes wide with confusion. The Uzi clattered to the floor. I rushed over to Lily, my hands shaking. She was lying on the ground, her eyes closed. Blood. There was so much blood. "Lily! Lily, wake up!" I cried, shaking her gently. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at me, her face pale and drawn. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm scared." "It's okay, Lily. I'm here. You're going to be okay," I said, even though I knew I was lying. Suddenly, Anya rushed forward, shoving me aside. "Lily, what did I do? What did I do?" she cried. Her voice filled with anguish. She grabbed Lily's hand, her eyes filled with tears. "Lily, please, say something. Tell me you're okay." But Lily didn't say anything. Her eyes closed again. Her hand went limp. Anya stared at her, her face crumpling. And then she did something that I never expected. She started to laugh. A soft, broken laugh that quickly turned into a hysterical sob. "It's all a lie," she screamed, her voice cracking. "Everything is a lie. Lily, she's not my trigger. She's my sister." "Sister?" I stared at her, my mind reeling. Sister? Lily and Anya? Sisters? But that was impossible. They were... Suddenly, it all clicked into place. The way they looked at each other. The way Anya was always protecting Lily. The way But Isabella said, I stammered. Anya shook her head, her eyes filled with tears. Isabella? She kidnapped us when we were babies. She raised us to be weapons. She told us that Lily was my trigger, that I had to protect her at all costs. But it was all a lie. Lily, she was the only person who ever loved me. And I killed her. She started to sob uncontrollably, her body shaking with grief. Sarah rushed over to her, pulling her into a hug. It's not your fault. Anya, she said, her voice gentle. It's Isabella's fault. She did this to you. Anya shook her head, pulling away from Sarah. No, it's my fault. I killed my sister. I'm a monster. And then she turned and ran, out of the warehouse, into the night. Sarah stared after her, her face filled with despair. Anya, wait, please come back, she cried. But Anya was gone. Sarah turned to me, her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, I don't know what to say. Everything, it's all a mess. I just stared at her, my mind numb. Lily, dead. Anya, a trained killer. Sarah, maybe. My sister, Isabella, not my mother, but I couldn't process it all. It was too much. But then I remembered something. Something that Isabella had said about the diamond, about what the twins could unlock. I looked down at Lily's body, lying motionless on the ground. And then I saw it, a small, almost invisible tattoo on her wrist. A tattoo that looked like a diamond. And suddenly, I knew. The Serafina diamond wasn't a physical object. It was code, a genetic code, hidden within Lily and Anya's DNA. And now, Lily was dead. Did that mean the code was lost forever? Or was there still a way to unlock it? Was there still a reason to fight? I looked at Sarah, her face etched with grief. She was my sister, maybe. Or maybe just another pawn in Isabella's game. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know what to do. But I knew one thing. Anya was out there, alone, dangerous, and I had to find her before it was too late. Sarah stared after her, her face filled with despair. Anya, wait, please come back, she cried. But Anya was gone. Sarah turned to me, her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, I don't know what to say. Everything, it's all a mess. I just stared at her, my mind numb. Lily, dead. Anya, a trained killer. Sarah, maybe my sister. Isabella, not my mother, but I couldn't process it all. It was too much. But then I remembered something. Something that Isabella had said. About the diamond. About what the twins could unlock. I looked down at Lily's body, lying motionless on the ground. And then I saw it. A small, almost invisible tattoo on her wrist. A tattoo that looked like a diamond. And suddenly I knew. The Serafina diamond wasn't a physical object. It was code. A genetic code. Hidden within Lily and Anya's DNA. And now, Lily was dead. Did that mean the code was lost forever? Or was there still a way to unlock it? Was there still a reason to fight? I looked at Sarah, her face etched with grief. She was my sister, maybe. Or maybe just another pawn in Isabella's game. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know what to do. But I knew one thing. Anya was out there. Alone. Dangerous.
and I had to find her. Before it was too late. We have to go after her, I said, my voice hoarse. Before she gets herself killed, or worse. Sarah nodded, wiping her eyes. Where do we even start? I glanced around the trashed warehouse, my gaze falling on Isabella. She was still alive, barely, her breathing ragged. She knows where Anya will go, I said, walking towards her. Sarah hesitated. Ethan, she tried to kill us. And she lied to us our entire lives, I replied, my voice cold. But she's the only lead we have. I knelt beside Isabella, ignoring the pain in my head. Where will Anya go? I demanded, my voice low and threatening. Isabella coughed, a trickle of blood escaping her lips. She has a safe house, she rasped. An old apartment, downtown. Address, I snapped. She told me, then closed her eyes, her face pale. Let's go, I said to Sarah, grabbing my keys. We don't have much time. We raced out of the warehouse, leaving Isabella for the cops to find. As we drove, I tried to piece everything together. The diamond, the twins, Isabella, Sarah. My head was spinning. We arrived at the apartment building. It was a rundown, pre-war building, the kind you saw in old movies. Graffiti covered the walls, and the air smelled of stale cigarettes and decay. This is it, I said, my hand on the doorknob. Be careful. We entered the building, the silence heavy. We found the apartment, the door slightly ajar. I pushed it open, and we stepped inside. The apartment was small and sparsely furnished. A beat-up couch, a small table, a single bed. And in the corner, Anya. She was sitting on the floor, huddled in a ball, her face buried in her knees. She didn't look up when we entered. Anya, I said softly. It's Ethan. And Sarah. She didn't respond. I walked over to her, kneeling beside her. Anya, we want to help you. She finally looked up, her eyes red and swollen. There's no help for me, she whispered. I'm a monster. You're not a monster, Sarah said, her voice gentle. Isabella made you this way. It's not your fault. Anya shook her head. I killed Lily, she said, her voice breaking. I killed my sister. It wasn't you, Anya, I said. It was the programming. Isabella controlled you. But I still did it, she said, her voice filled with despair. I can't live with that. Suddenly, she reached into her pocket. My heart leaped into my throat. Was she going to pull out a gun? But instead, she pulled out a small silver locket. She opened it, and I saw a tiny picture inside. A picture of two little girls, smiling and holding hands. Lily and Anya. We were happy once, Anya whispered, her voice barely audible. Before Isabella took us. Sarah gasped. I have one too, she said, reaching into her own pocket. She pulled out an identical locket, opening it to reveal another picture. This one was of a young woman, smiling brightly. My mother, Sarah said, her voice trembling. I haven't seen this in years. Suddenly, Anya's eyes widened. She looked at Sarah, then back, at the picture in her locket. Wait, she said, her voice filled with confusion. That's not Lily. That's me. Sarah stared at the picture, her mouth agape. What? But that's my mother. And then it hit me. A realization so shocking, so earth-shattering, that it made me stumble backward. Oh my God, I whispered. It's not code. It's not a diamond. The Serafina diamond. It's not a what. It's a who. Anya was my sister. Lily was my sister. And Sarah,
Sarah wasn't just my sister. She was my mother. Oh my God, I whispered. It's not code. It's not a diamond. The Serafina diamond. It's not a what, it's a who. Anya was my sister. Lily was my sister. And Sarah wasn't just my sister. She was my mother. The room spun. Mom? Sarah? How? It didn't make any freaking sense. I looked at Sarah, really looked at her. The lines around her eyes, the way she held herself. Suddenly, she seemed older. So much older. I was barely 16, Sarah whispered, her voice cracking. Isabella, she took me in, said she was helping me, but all she wanted was the diamond. The genetic key, she called it. She needed someone to carry on the line, someone she could control. Anya was staring at Sarah, her eyes wide with disbelief. You knew about this? Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. Not all of it. Just that I had to protect you and Lily, that you were special. Isabella never told me why. My head was pounding. This wasn't just a family mess. It was a freaking Shakespearean tragedy. Mom, sister, sleeper agent, diamond jeans. It was too much, way too much. But then, something caught my eye. A glint of metal under the table. I reached down, and my fingers closed around something. Cold and hard. A gun. Not just any gun. A Sig Sauer P226, the kind Special Forces guys used. And it wasn't just lying there. It was deliberately placed, pointed right at Sarah. I looked up, my gaze meeting Anya's. Her eyes were flat, emotionless. She knew, Anya said, her voice like ice. She knew all along. And she used us. All of us. Sarah's face crumpled. No, Anya, that's not true. I would never. But Anya wasn't listening. She lunged forward, grabbing the gun from my hand. Before I could react, she leveled it at Sarah. Anya, no! I yelled. But it was too late. Anya squeezed the trigger, but the gun didn't fire. A click, that's all. A dry, empty click. Anya stared at the gun, her face contorted with rage. Damn it, she screamed, throwing the weapon to the floor. She knew I'd figure it out. She knew I'd come after her. She? Who was she? Suddenly, a voice, smooth as silk, filled the room. Hello, darlings. Sorry to crash the party. We all whirled around. Standing in the doorway was Isabella. But it wasn't the battered, bleeding Isabella we'd left at the warehouse. This Isabella was clean, composed, almost regal. She was holding a gun, too. A small, elegant pistol with a silencer attached. But that wasn't the shocking part. Standing beside her was Lily, alive. And she was smiling. Not a scared, innocent smile, but a cold, calculating smile that sent a shiver down my spine. Surprise, Lily said, her voice low and menacing. Did you really think it would be that easy? Anya stared at Lily, her face a mask of utter disbelief. Lily? But you're dead. Lily laughed, a chilling, hollow sound. Honey, I've been acting my whole life. Playing dead is easy. She stepped forward, her arms snaking around Isabella's waist. Isabella, my real mother, has been teaching me everything I know. Mother? My brain short-circuited. Lily? Working with Isabella? But why? Then I saw it. The look on Lily's face. The way she held herself. It was all an act. A performance. And suddenly, I understood. Lily wasn't a victim. She wasn't a trigger.
She was the puppet master. Isabella smirked. That's right, Ethan. You've been played. And the Serafina diamond? It's not in their DNA. It's in hers. She gestured to Lily. She's the only one who can unlock its true power. But what power? What was so damn important about this diamond? Lily stepped closer, her eyes boring into mine. You really thought you could protect me, Ethan? You're just a pawn in our game, a useful idiot. And now, you're obsolete. She raised her hand, signaling to Isabella. Goodbye, Ethan, Lily said, her voice dripping with venom. Isabella raised her pistol, but before she could fire, something slammed into her from behind. A blur of motion, a scream of rage. It was Anya. She tackled Isabella to the ground, the two women wrestling for the gun. A shot rang out, shattering the silence. But it didn't hit Isabella. It hit Lily. Lily gasped, clutching her chest. She staggered backward, her eyes wide with shock. "Mother?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Isabella stared at Lily, her face a mask of horror. "Lily!" "No!" she screamed, and then everything went black. I woke up on the floor, my head throbbing. The room was silent, except for the sound of ragged breathing. I sat up, my body aching. Isabella was lying on the floor, unconscious. Anya was kneeling beside Lily, cradling her in her arms. And Lily? She was staring at me, her eyes filled with something. Not hate, not malice, but pity. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice weak, "you need to know the truth." But before she could say anything else, she closed her eyes and stopped breathing. Anya screamed, a primal, heart-wrenching scream that tore through me. I stared at Lily's lifeless body, my mind numb. What truth? What was she trying to tell me? And then I saw it, clutched in Lily's hand, a small piece of paper. I carefully pried it loose, my fingers trembling. On the paper, a single word was written, a name, mine. Anya gritou grito primal que me cortou por dentro. Olhei para o corpo de Lily, sem vida, meu cérebro dormente. Que verdade! O que ela estava tentando me dizer? Foi então que eu vi, apertado na mão de Lily, pedaço de papel. Cuidadosamente soltei-o, meus dedos tremendo. No papel, uma única palavra escrita, nome. Mine. Mine. De quem seria? Minha? Mas o que era meu? Olhei para Anya, que soluçava sobre o corpo de Lily, e para Sarah, que parecia ter envelhecido 10 anos em 10 minutos. Ninguém parecia saber de nada. Peguei o papel e examinei-o de perto. Era pedaço de papel comum, rabiscado com uma caneta esferográfica azul. A letra era familiar, mas não conseguia identificar de quem era. Foi então que eu vi. Não no papel, mas atrás dele, uma marca d'água quase invisível. Logotipo. O logotipo da Sterling Enterprises, minha empresa. Alguém dentro da minha organização estava envolvido nisso. Alguém tinha orquestrado tudo. Mas quem? E por quê? Uma onda de paranoia me atingiu. Não conseguia confiar em ninguém. Nem em Sarah, nem em Anya. E então, a porta se abriu. Entrou um homem. Um homem que eu conhecia muito bem. Era John, meu advogado, meu confidente, meu melhor amigo. "Ethan!" ele gritou, correndo até mim. Eu ouvi os tiros. "Você está bem?" Eu o encarei, sem dizer nada. A ficha estava começando a cair. As peças estavam se encaixando. John era o único que sabia tudo sobre minha empresa, sobre meus negócios, sobre minha família. John era o único que tinha acesso ao meu escritório, à minha papelaria. John era mine. Você? Eu consegui dizer, minha voz rouca. John parou, seus olhos se arregalando. Ethan, do que você está falando? Peguei o papel com o nome Mine e mostrei para ele. O rosto de John empalideceu. Eu posso explicar, ele disse, sua voz tremendo. Explicar o que, John? Eu perguntei, meu coração batendo forte no peito. Explicar como você orquestrou tudo isso? Explicar como você manipulou minha família? Explicar como você matou Lily. John deu um passo para trás, suas mãos tremendo. Eu não queria que nada disso acontecesse, ele disse, sua voz quase inaudível. Eu só queria o diamante, o segredo, o poder. Que segredo? Eu gritei. Que poder? John hesitou, seus olhos procurando uma saída. Foi então que eu vi, atrás dele, na porta, uma figura sombria. Uma figura que eu não conseguia distinguir, e a figura estava segurando uma arma. John viu a arma também. Seus olhos se arregalaram de terror. Não, ele gritou, mas era tarde demais. Um tiro. John caiu no chão, sem vida. A figura sombria entrou-na. Sei lá. E quando a luz a atingiu, eu reconheci. Era meu pai. Mas isso não era possível. Meu pai estava morto. Ele tinha morrido há 20 anos. Ou era o que eu pensava. Ele sorriu. Olá, filho. My dad? Alive? It couldn't be. Not after all this. The lies, the death, everything. A twisted knot in my gut tightened. He smiled wider. A familiar smile. But now sinister. Ethan, he said, his voice smooth, almost loving. It's been a while. Anya lunged, a feral scream escaping her lips. But he was too fast. He grabbed Sarah, holding the gun to her head. One move, and she's dead, he hissed. The warehouse fell silent. Only the ragged breaths of fear filled the air. What do you want? I asked, my voice trembling. He chuckled. What didn't I want? Power, control, and that damn diamond. Your mother, she was always too good for me. Too smart. She hid it well. He squeezed Sarah tighter. But Sarah, she's always been eager to please. Sarah looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Ethan, I'm so sorry. Anya was shaking, her eyes darting around, looking for a way out. My mind raced. I had to do something. Anything. I looked at the piece of paper in my hand. The name. Mine. A sudden thought struck me. A crazy, desperate gamble. It's not about the diamond, is it? I said, my voice loud, trying to distract him. It's about the company, Sterling Enterprises. You wanted it all along. His smile faltered. The company? It's just a means to an end. The diamond, that's the real prize. No, I said, stepping forward. The company is the diamond. It's the power, the influence. It's everything you ever wanted. And it's mine. I held up the paper, making sure he could see the logo. You killed for it, didn't you? You betrayed everyone. For this? His eyes narrowed. He hesitated. That's when Anya moved. A blur of motion. A desperate lunge. She threw herself at him, knocking the gun from his hand. It clattered to the floor. Chaos erupted. I scrambled for the gun, but he was faster. He grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor, a jagged edge glinting in the dim light. He lunged at Anya, raising the metal high. "No!" Sarah screamed, throwing herself in front of Anya. The metal plunged down, but not into Anya, into Sarah. He pulled the metal out, and Sarah fell to the ground, lifeless. A primal scream tore from my throat. I didn't think, I just reacted. I grabbed the gun and fired, again and again, until the clip was empty. He fell to the floor, his eyes wide with surprise. Silence. I stared at Sarah's body, my heart shattered. Mom, gone. Lily, gone. All of them, gone. Anya was staring at me, her face blank. "What now?" she whispered. I didn't know. The diamond, the lies, the death, it was all too much. I felt empty, hollow. But then I remembered Lily's last word. Mine, the company, Sterling Enterprises. It was the only thing left. The only thing I could control. I took a deep breath. "We survive," I said, my voice hoarse but firm. "We rebuild. We take back what's mine." But a haunting doubt still lingered. What was the secret power Lily spoke of? The secret of the Serafina diamond? What had truly been locked inside Lily? And was it still locked inside Anya? Hold on to your hats, because the story is far from over. You need to subscribe right now to this channel to be the first to know what happens next, where Anya goes from here, and what that devastating final revelation means for Ethan. This is the moment to demonstrate your support for more insane stories like this one. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, or else YouTube might just hide our future videos from you. Don't wait one more second to flood the comments section with your theories, your reactions, your shock. Only true fans understand how important it is to back us up with these simple actions. And you can't keep this crazy twist to yourself. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who deserve to lose their minds over this finale. They won't believe what they just watched.